Hey, it's been a minute. So this is part 2 of our 4-part series on rockumentary filmmaking. Links to the playlist will be wherever you can find it. But yeah, let's just get into it. I think musical genres and acts are memorialized alongside the decade or two which saw their pop cultural peaks. The mention of big band, grunge, or dubstep music, for example, can elicit positive or negative associations with time periods, ideologies, or feelings surrounding the works themselves. How are producers and consumers seemingly bound to this decade-long cycle? Well, these transformations occur not only because of changing interests among the general listening public, but also through music's fluid relationship with and response to breaking stories of its time. Simply put, popular culture and its surrounding contexts influence its own production. In exploring how this relationship manifests itself, the British invasion of the 1960s challenges our own perceptions about the end of cultural eras. At the forefront of this discussion lies the Beatles and The Who, two load-bearing pillars of political and creative freedoms synonymous with the 1960s and British rock and roll culture, whose decade-long innovative rises and inevitable downfalls sculpted and crumbled much of that free-spirited attitude. Two prominent histories emerge in particular: the Beatles disbanding due to creative differences, and The Who losing much of their initial spark before the passing of drummer Keith Moon, which served as heavy cultural losses for music fans and other artists alike. As the music industry donned a mournful eye, the rockumentary film in both cases served as a medium by which to document and cope with these low points in otherwise dominant and exciting career arcs. How does the medium of film strive to chronicle these moments? Well, the Beatles film, Let It Be, intended to capture a cinema verite perspective on the Beatles' process and declining attitude leading up to their disbandment. It is here where unifying songs were meant to contrast scenes of disagreement and discomfort. In a similar, albeit more retrospective fashion, The Who's rockumentary The Kids Are Alright attempted to use found footage as a means of exploring the group's wider legacy and body of work just months before Moon's passing. The filmmakers here tried to achieve this effect by interlacing explosive live performances and television appearances with non-sequitur interviews and happenings spread out across the group's career. My use of past tense and speculative language when discussing both films is intentional, for I believe both texts relay a subversion of the real through the presentation of an ostensible meaning. Akin to an iceberg, this surface-level interpretation cannot and will not exist without the hidden ones which dwell below. Here I'm arguing these films' secret expositions, interestingly enough, mimic the opposing film's surface-level one. Where I believe The Kids Are Alright actually tracks the unseen decay of The Who, I think Let It Be also offers a doctored and confused history of the Beatles. In the following video essay, I will compare elements of narrative and dialogue in an effort to uncover to what extent the rockumentary can construct false meanings or endings. A critical analysis of the Beatles, their film, and its falsification boils down to one simple question. Do the band members actually argue or foreshadow a breakup in Let It Be? Well, the simple answer, I guess, is yes. One infamous scene in particular sees George Harrison mockingly submitting to Paul McCartney's supremacy over the group by remarking,
I'll play, whatever you want me to play, or I won't play at all if you don't want me to play. Whatever it is that will please you, I'll do it.
Beyond this example, however, any notable hints towards a strained relationship between the band members do not appear throughout the film's runtime at all. Let It Be's director, Michael Lindsay Hogg, exercised little to no creative freedom in showcasing this theme during the shooting and post-production, as administrative roles had shifted towards the film's 4 executive producers, the band members themselves. Where leadership was altered here, so too was the film's form and content. Opposing insights in the editing room gave way to a stream of continuous alterations, which, in an attempt to make individual band members look better, skewed many of the depictions of the real here, and thus creatively intervened on the film's cinema verite style. The resulting picture here is a construction, masked as reality, which clouds much of the film's intended exploration of contention in favor of satisfying a fame-induced sense of narcissism. As a result of these alterations, Let It Be is a historical relic documenting its own flawed post-production. What's left of a narrative, a now spliced-together series of practices culminating in the Beatles' famous concert atop of the roof of their Apple recording studio, proposes nothing insightful in the conversations surrounding the band's disagreements, or really anything for that matter. George, Paul, John, and Ringo had already been creatively imploding in the public eye outside of the Rockumentary's production, so yeah, it is fitting that the public's association between the film and its star's eventual falling out surfaced so quickly. This union curates within spectators an obstructed view of a film which presents an obstructed view of its own subjects. What remains is a vague presentation of the band that to me leaves much to be desired. Transitioning into The Who's portrayal in The Kids Are Alright, this idea of a constructed identity still does hold importance, but it's explored here through the lens of change rather than construction. The film's various live performances and interviews offer a window into the band's evolution, and unlike the Beatles, The Who's absence of authority during filmic assembly arguably curated a more thorough snapshot of the band members as people and as performers. So then, who are these people and what exactly do they represent? Unfortunately, in unpacking this question, the film gives audiences little to no contextual information on the group outside of a handful of television appearances. Uneducated spectators, therefore, are not given a thorough historical record of the group, but are instead left to feed off of their chaotic energy as a means to curate an image of them. And boy, it is chaotic. Found footage and destruction here are constants throughout the runtime, which, when paired with smashed equipment and rebellious quotes, portray the band as this exciting, young, and commanding presence in the world of British rock and roll. A closer look, however, sees the film's liveliness as actually hiding a commentary on the causal link between performance and aging. This deterioration, personified through Who guitarist Pete Townshend, appears in the form of many losses: a loss of energy on stage, a loss of youthfulness, and a loss of artistic control. The first two diminishing factors work in tandem with one another, as all members of the band noticeably age at various points throughout the film. Though the musician's hair and wardrobe are locked in conveying this defiant attitude, physical reminders of the toll celebrity and spectacle have taken on the group's purpose still persist underneath. After performing for a decade, what exactly is that purpose? Well, The Kids Are Alright directs Townshend's answer again to that of control of a creative vision whilst in a battle to control oneself. One scene which highlights this, a dreamlike vignette seeing bassist John Entwistle surrounded by accolades, plaques, and guitars, relays the band's curiosity and longing for a time in which the British rock scene, materialized in these possessions, was both stable and rewarding. The resulting image of him shooting one of his gold records with a Tommy gun found in a guitar case acts as an artful depiction of self-destruction, which continues to appear throughout the film's dialogue. Townshend himself discusses the quote, decay of The Who before admitting to have hated the changes he has made to himself throughout his time in the band. These unique additions, when edited between the rest of these real clips, serve as a looming anxiety predicting the now scrambled mind and aged spirit of British rock and youth culture. I think both works are, on their surface, narratively confused. In Let It Be, not enough is shown to give the band their own identity or emotions, and in The Kids Are Alright, perhaps too much is shown. As a result, themes of separation and preservation in each film kind of merge as one, and whether intended or not, this clouded worldview contributes to the film's false meanings that mirror the other film's hidden one. Had the films stayed true to their names, the bands would have no agency in the fashioning of meaning-making and likely would have come across as more genuine in the process. I guess in the meantime, these works serve as a documentation of the vague and varied emotions that come along with this deteriorative process. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to check out part 1 of this series. There are 2 more parts coming out after this one, so subscribe if you haven't already. And that's pretty much it. Thanks guys for watching, and have a good one.